People who value sleep, sleep on a Nectar mattress. But you're not going to believe me. After all, I might be lying. I must be lying. The only thing you know is true is that commercials lie to you. I must be lying.
Instead of believing silly commercials, trust the more than 2 million happy sleepers who sleep on a Nectar mattress. Nectar Sleep is currently running their biggest offer ever, $399 in accessories plus a 365-night home trial and free shipping and returns. Go to nectarsleep.com today.
The Fight Night podcast is proud to be sponsored by DAZN. DAZN are bringing you the game-changing streaming service for boxing fans. You can stream anytime, anywhere with their affordable monthly subscription. Visit DAZN.com to subscribe. For more information, DAZN. Your boxing, your way.
This is it. The time has come.
Saturday night's all right for fighting.
The world crowd push him down.
Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night with Adam Catterall and Gareth A. Davies.
You're better than that.
On TalkSport.
Welcome to the Fight Night podcast from TalkSport. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company. Bit of housekeeping before you get to hear from this week's guests on the show. Please subscribe to us. You can do it via iTunes or you can do it via the TalkSport website if you need an Android feed. Go and get stuck in. Now on Saturday night, loads of different people came to join us to talk about the fights that they just had and the fights that are upcoming. It was a banging weekend, weren't it? Loads of stuff going on from Friday through to Saturday. Now with us being on the radio on Saturday, we spoke to everybody that was in action on Friday night. I'm taking you to Coventry first because this is a Fight of the Year contender. If you have not seen this, I thoroughly encourage you to go and watch back what Sam Eggington did on Friday evening. He joined us on Saturday night to talk through it.
Boxing fans in Coventry, two warriors who tonight have left it all in the ring. After 12 rounds of middleweight boxing, we go to the scorecards. And still,
It's Sam Eggington who marches on. What a fight. What a night. Just astonishing.
I revert back to what I know, and that's what I know. So it comes so natural. So yeah, it's just a day's work.
He got off. He got off to a decent start. If we're analysing the fight, He got off to a decent start and set a bit of a pace early doors. And it was about maybe round 3, round 4, where something maybe clicked in your head or something in the corner or what have you, of which then you changed the game and then kind of implemented a different game plan. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I literally was saying the same thing to the interviewer yesterday. So the obviously game plan, you only have to look at his stature to know that he's small, stocky, square on. He'll obviously get in tight and have a go. So whereas I come out and give him exactly that, I should have done the opposite and come out, boxing. Yeah. But I come out fighting. It's so hard to revert back to the boxing. Whereas if I started boxing, I can quite easily, go back to having a tear up. But yeah, so I come out and I played right into his hands, really. I thought, if he wants to have a go, I'll have a go.
It must be difficult to curb that.
That's exactly what I was told not to do, yeah.
It must be difficult to curb that when you've got all your fans in that Coventry arena that are just going absolutely wild. We've been starved, haven't we, of live sporting action for 18 months or something, and you're top of the bill there. Your fans have come out, they're all screaming for it, and you've just decided to give it them from the first bell.
Yeah. And you know what it is as well? As much as they've been starved with it, I fought 4 times in lockdown.
Yeah, I know.
So all them times, we didn't have any fans. So now they're back. As much as we're giving them what they want, they're sort of giving us what we want, which is pushing you even further. And you're probably doing stuff that you wouldn't do if the fans weren't there. If that makes sense.
100%, mate.
Because they're screaming and it's giving you more energy to really go for it.
Did another fighter, Sam, have 6 fights in 2019? You're probably the only one in the world that did. Look, you're known as the Savage. You're known as the Warlord by some people. It's still John Pegg in the corner, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does John, your trainer, Does he have to let you express yourself on a night like last night? Because he didn't seem to want to pull you back. Is it because he knows you so well?
I think John knows what I'm about. I think he's been with me from the start. I've been with him so many years. He has tried to build me into boxing more, and it's coming out a lot more lately than it ever has. But he does understand that at certain points of a fight, it's just going to be all out war, and he gets that I'm about that. So he kind of gives me that for a bit until he has to put his foot down and say, look, now it's time to switch it up. And a few times last night he did, but again, a few times he let me just do what I do.
But when I got to ask you this, because Adam and I have been talking about people like Holyfield fighting tonight at the age of 58, and I'm sure you won't be when you're 58, because that's another 31 years. But and if you are, I'm going to come and chain you somewhere so you can't. But when you see someone like Evander fighting tonight, how do you feel as a boxer watching someone who is legendary in the sport and is obviously fighting too old? What do you feel about it?
It's a hard one. I mean, I suppose it depends on the fight. And if they want to do exhibitions between, the old greats, then I suppose that's something fun they can do. But, it's not something I would tune in to watch, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, it's not something I'd tune in to watch. It's not something I'd take enjoyment over, really. It's not something I'll watch.
Final one from me, mate. Obviously, you took us on a bit of a ride at welterweight. We had a bit of fun at 154. You seem really happy at 160. I know that you've got big aspirations there. What do you want next? You must be looking up that top 15 of the WBC and trying to pick them off as you're going along. Yeah,
I mean, look, it's hard to say because, I'm quite happy to do 154. I'm quite happy to do 160. So, I'm quite, as long as the phone's ringing, there's not many opportunities I'll turn down. I'll think of every opportunity I'll get, I'll definitely mull over, at a serious level. So, I can do both weights. If I'm being realistic, I think if I really want to pick up a world title, I need to be trying to do it at 154. Because the big 160 lads are super big. Do you know what I mean? So, it's a hard one, but again, it's where the opportunities lie. We just got to wait and see what comes up and when the phone rings.
So that happened in Coventry. Over in Austria, there were a couple of Brits doing their bits in order to progress their career. John Ryder stepped up to light heavyweight just to dip his toes in the water to maybe set tongues wagging about a potential clash with Dimitri Bivol. He joined us on the show Saturday night to talk about that prospect.
Listen, I'm open to offers. If any got off me at 168 or 175, I'm all ears.
How did you feel last night? Because the geezer that you were fighting against and stopped and got him out of there, he has competed at cruiserweight, so it's not like you were taking a guy that was also a super middle moving up to light heavy. You were taking on a legit big guy, so how did you feel?
No, I felt good. I felt strong in there. I felt patient, bided my time, maybe started off a bit too eager, but settled down by the third round and, got to work nicely in the fourth and finished it in the fifth.
How has the last 18 months, let's say, been? Because you had that great momentum going into the Callum Smith fight. Lots of people who witnessed that fight come away from it thinking that you were hard done by. I'm sure that you were thirsty to get straight back in the ring and try and continue that momentum again. And it wasn't necessarily to be until the back end, I think it was, of 2020 before we could get you back in the ring. How have you found this pandemic period, mate, and the frustrations that have come along with it professionally?
A real frustrating time in my life, in my career. Like you say, 2019 was a great year for me. Good win in Vegas on a great card, and then even taking a lot of credit from the Smith fight. Just wanted to build on momentum in 2020, and then obviously COVID struck, and then I didn't get out till December, and then 9 months later we're here. On a good note, it did mark my 11th year as a pro, to the day I made my debut, so that was nice to get out again. But I just want to be active now. I want to be busy. I want to keep busy and fight regularly.
A knockout that night against Ben Degani at the York Hall, just to remind you. John, when you were out to talk, like you say, about the frustrations, one of the things that fascinated me, and I hadn't had a chance to ask you about this, when you flew out to Arlington, Texas in May, when Billy Joe Saunders and Saul Canelo Alvarez were fighting, was there any real prospect in your mind that week that it might be you stepped in there against Canelo?
No, I wholeheartedly believed the fight would go ahead. There was too much at stake for it not to. Eddie had got me out there primarily for building up my own profile as I was preparing for the Dave Morrell fight, which got taken from beneath me. So here we are now, just dipping the toes in the water at 175 and seeing what we can come up with.
I was going to say, talk to me about the Dave Morrell situation, man. How many times does that fight have to be called by the WBA for it still not to have happened?
Well, I mean, I was training for it in May when I went out to Dallas. I think it was about 6 weeks to the actual date that I'd been told, and then the next thing I know, they put an appeal into the WBA to have a fight in the meantime and get some more experience, and they had a one-round knockover job, so that was quite frustrating. And then the purse bid got called again, and that's been a slow process again. So, I mean, I just don't want to be messed about anymore. I want to know what's happening and just get on with my career.
But has the WBA done the right thing by removing some of those belts, in your view? I know you were going for the world title, not the superior title or the super title with the WBA. Do you believe in the fact that the belts should be thinned out a little bit more? Sorry, thickened, if anything, rather than thinned out, that they should thin out the number of world champions?
Yeah, I do, but the interim belt, I think, served its purpose. I mean, when you've got regular champions and super champions, I think that's where the lines get blurred. I mean, I think everyone knows what an interim title is. It could be for someone that's won the final eliminator who's waiting for their shot at the champion, but if anything happens to the champion, they can defend that in the meantime. I think it gets a bit confusing when you've got interim, regular, super. Well,
they had 43. I think they had 43 champions in all, just in the WBA in the
17 divisions.
In 17 divisions, it was clearly too many. But the thing is, it's interesting. The light heavyweight challenge. I mean, we didn't really explore it. Why light heavyweight when you're so highly ranked at super middleweight? Is it because you don't feel you're going to get a Canelo Alvarez fight very soon, or that it's all tied up with he and Caleb Plant? I mean, what's the reason?
I just want to stay active, really. I just want to keep busy. I know there's talks of a potential Bivol fight, and then so I'm open to it. I'd happily go up to 175 and fight Bivol, but
it's a great matchup, that, actually. That's a great matchup. It is very good, yeah.
Craig, which had a great fight with him a couple of months ago, but I mean, I relish these big chances, so if the opportunity comes up, then I'd take it with both hands, but I'm in a position where I can still go to 168 and take on big fights, so whatever Eddie and the team come up with, I'm happy to oblige.
Well, listen, last night was one of those where you dip your toes in to show people that you're willing to obviously fight at light heavyweight. And Eddie's obviously connected very heavily with Dimitri Bivol, and he's obviously connected with you. There's talk, fingers crossed, and there's a Dillian White card coming up at the end of October, isn't there? And there was talk in and around that date that maybe Bivol would be out, and you would be the perfect person to be able to step in there, seeing as that you are so highly ranked with the WBA. Okay, at 168, but you're a recognisable name to the WBA to be able to sanction that fight.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and obviously now that I've had a fight at 175, we know that, listen, I've still got room to grow into it, but that I can at least compete.
More than compete. I think you did a good job last night, mate. Listen, It's good that you're out, and fingers crossed. When are you thinking of getting back out again, John? What's the target date? Is it that card, that Dillian White card at the end of October?
Well, nothing specific as of yet. I mean, going to have a week at home, recover and pick it up again. But I mean, I'm looking forward to getting to talk to Eddie this week, hopefully, and then just hearing what's next and what the plan is.
Also in action in Austria on Friday night was the Sheffield Stunner. That's his new nickname, not official one. We just made it up for this particular show. Dalton Smith gave us a call on his way back from Heathrow.
Oh, it feels like I've done an Ironman or something. But no, I'm just going up the motorway now from Heathrow, and yeah, I'll be happy to see my bed tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Listen, on performance-wise, I think when we spoke last, activity was one of the things that we were talking about quite a lot. And as I've said on this show, and countless times about yourself, mate, I want to see those challenges come your way this season. I want to see trinkets on the line. I want to see you fighting for Lonsdale belts, European belts, and all that type of stuff in the not too distant future. How important for you is activity at this stage of your career?
I think it's one of the most important things for my career now, to stay active. That was my 9th fight last night, so I think for me to learn and keep progressing and, to start fighting for those major titles, it's about staying active because, last night I was able to get the rounds under my belt, and, that's something I definitely needed, and it did good for my progression. So yeah, I just need to stay active and make sure every time I'm fighting now, I'm learning something new to put into my professional career.
Level of opponent's going to be important for you, I think, as well, Don. I don't know how you're feeling. I mean, the first 2-3 rounds last night, you were rapid, absolutely rapid, and it was quite obvious that the lad after that point didn't want to tango. And when somebody doesn't necessarily want to dance, it's very hard then for you to showcase your talents to the maximum that they are. You need someone to come back at you and obviously offer something the other way. I think that you put him into a bit of a shell after about 9 minutes, mate. Did you feel that during that? Did you feel like entering the 4th round, you don't fancy this kid, he's getting on his bike and he's legging it around the ring?
I did, to be fair, but, all credit to him, it was game, and every time I landed, he always did seem to come back with something. It was very tough, and he took some very good shots well. So yeah, I think after the first couple of rounds, I knew it was going to be durable, and I'm not just going to be able to blast him out of there like my previous opponent. So, I think it got to 4 or 5 rounds, and to be honest, I felt a bit flat in the fight. But then I knew I'm not just going to start. I can't just go in there and start trying to blast people out. So, my dad was in the corner. He was like, right, he says, he's durable, he's there. He says, just take your time and we can get the rounds in. Obviously the rounds went on. I had plenty in the tank, and I was able to come out with 10 rounds, and with an opponent who was there for every second of the fight.
That's the thing I was thinking, Dalton, that getting 30 minutes under your belt of activity against a guy. I think he'd only been stopped once as well, but it was retired way back in his career, like 4 or 5 years ago. And, he had the skills to pay his own bills in there. And I know you're a predatory kind of fighter. Well, that's how we see you, I think, very often, that, you like to go in there and you don't like to sit back necessarily. But I think, the fact that you can go through 6-7 rounds and just box is a really good thing for you. You'll look back on that fight and say, yeah, I learned things from that. And one of the things that I was curious about, I've just got back from the Tokyo Paralympics, but one of the things that I was curious about after the Olympics is, of course, you forewent potentially going to Tokyo 2020. That would have been now. When you look back on that and you see what Galal Yafai did, Lauren Price and Ben Whitaker and some of the others, and I was with Anthony Joshua yesterday, he was talking about it, and how and Lawrence Coley about that, how you deal with yourself after an Olympic Games, how it's complex. Do you ever have a hankering and think, maybe I should have stayed, or are you happy with where you're at?
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and I never look back on the past and regret things or wish I'd done things, because in that moment that's what was right, and that was the right situation. But I got the privilege to watch my ex-teammates to go out there and win the medals and have one of the best Olympics they've had, and it was just the timing for me was a time to turn professional. So it was guttering at the time. It was bitter to swallow when I had to make the decision to turn professional. But, I don't look back now with any regrets, because, I'm pushing well on into my professional career now, and, looking towards the major titles in my next, 2-3 fights. So, I just sat back and, got a great feeling from seeing my teammates win the medals.
The funny thing is, as well, if you count very early in COVID, you've had 5 fights during the COVID pandemic as well, which not many boxers have had. Do you, looking at some of those guys, because you do know them and you were in the English Institute of Sport with them and you know those chaps and the girls, Would you pick out anyone in particular, maybe two, maybe three, who you think really will come on in the pro game?
To be honest, I think anyone who was sent to the Olympics has got a very bright future ahead of them. And I remember when I was on the squad at the time, obviously I was part of that team, and Rob always said to me, he said, the many cycles he's been on the Great Britain squad, he said, that's the strongest he's ever had it. It's not just 2-3 fighters in the squad. It's every single weight plus the 2s and 3s who were strong. So it was the competition there was always, it was full on, and the talent what was in the squad. So I think anybody who turns professional has got a very bright future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Enjoyed watching them. There's going to be some good tales coming out of that Olympic team, and obviously you're one of those as well, mate. Are you still allowing your fan base to select your trunk and outfit colours for your fights? I saw that the classic Sheffield Wednesday strip was worn last night, mate.
Yeah, it was the classic. I think it was the 93, 94 retro kit, the black and gold.
I like it. Very Mark Bright, I felt. It was a bit Mark Bright, David Hurst. That's where I was at with it.
That was it. And to be honest, my colours are, navy blue and white, the traditional Wednesday colours. So, me and my team came up with an idea to put the retro kit together and let the fans decide. And, it paid off because I thought the kit looked amazing, what Susie made up. And, it was just a change of colours. And, maybe we could put a call out for another bunch of retro kits and see what gets voted. And I'll keep going through them like that because, I was impressed with the kit last night.
Wednesday had they had that orange thing, didn't they? Once upon a time, as an away kit.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, you don't want that. Don't ever put that up, mate. You don't want to be walking out in that.
Go on, I'll put that one down.
Since we're talking football fandom here, so you're driving home, yeah?
But don't talk about the result.
No,
okay.
Don't talk about football today.
No. So you're driving home. Is Dad driving?
No, we've got a driver.
Okay.
Posh now. Big time now.
Yeah, got a driver now. Private jet home. Took 12 hours. Wrong private jet, obviously. Why has it taken you so long to get home?
To get into the fight was in Klagenfurt in Austria, and it was we had to fly to Vienna, and then going there we had to get a flight to Vienna.
It means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Vienna. Never mind.
And then a 3.5 hour coach journey to Klagenfurt, but we managed to get a flight back to Vienna from Klagenfurt today, and then so on to Heathrow. But
wow,
it's not straightforward getting there, but it was worth it because it's a very beautiful place, and the scenery there it was amazing.
A couple of fans went out as well, didn't they, mate? I saw you pictured with a couple of Wednesday fans that were out there supporting you and what have you.
It was, yeah. I've got a couple of loyal supporters who come up, so yeah, big thanks to them, and they came over to show the support.
Can you get is Dad's there with you? Yeah.
He is, yeah. He's sat in the front though, and he's divided by.
Oh, is he? No, I want him to sing. I want him to sing the Midge-Ure Ultravox song "Oh Vienna." No, it means nothing.
The Fight Night podcast is brought to you by DAZN, the world's first truly dedicated live sports streaming service. Not just in the UK, but globally. Access the game-changing streaming service for boxing fans and head to DAZN.com. DAZN. Your boxing, your way. Now, coming up on September the 25th, Lawrence Okoli makes his first defence of his world title. We had a chat about all sorts of stuff on Saturday night, starting, first of all, with music.
I got a new car with a new navvy, got a new yard with a new ID. Playboy, I got a few.
Obviously, that's one of your tracks there that we've just been playing in the background. So we got music. Obviously, you released a book. You're the world champion now in the boxing ring. Is there anything else that you're thinking of taking over anytime soon, Lawrence? Have you got any other plans for any other genres to have a go at?
Yeah, I think acting is one that I need to, dip my toe in.
Yeah.
And why not just open up a McDonald's or something like that? I think that those are the next two ventures I think I'm gonna try.
Can I just say, so I was listening to the lyrics then, I've got a few bunnies and they'll do anything for me. Can you just
talk us through that a little bit? That's a bit like you. You got a few bunnies.
I got bunnies everywhere. Of course I have. I don't know if they'll do anything for me though.
No, Easter. And they,
Yeah. Right. No. Real sees real here. Come on, talk real. Talk real, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Seriously, serious one on the acting though. Is it something that you've already started, Lawrence? Are you thinking of doing a movie or something anytime soon?
Yeah, obviously I haven't started it, as in I haven't been casted yet. But you know what, I've let the team know that it's something I want to do, and they're going to go out and see what needs to be done. If I need to have lessons or whatever, because the way I see it is that, of course, like boxing is my love of my life, and you know it's what I'm known for. But ultimately, you know, there's more stuff in life to do and try. So at least I want, when it's all said and done, to say that I did stuff that I wanted to do.
Do you know what I really like about this? And, Lawrence and I have had, and you know this, Lawrence, we've had some really nice heart-to-hearts when we've been doing interviews before and, been really honest about things. And what I think is fantastic about you is, that your success in yourself through boxing has made you realise you can kind of achieve anything you want to go out there and do. And we're really seeing that from you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. It's like, obviously, we've heard it a million times before in boxing. I came from nothing and, got to this point and that. But as you said, I think it's more so the mindset change in me than anything else. I understand that there's, of course you get, rewarded for boxing, but there's other ways to get rewarded, not just obviously financially, but just in terms of like accomplishment and achievement. If I was to, star in a number one film, I think it would feel like, similar to how someone would feel winning a title, or, my book became number one seller, that I felt a sense of pride, maybe not as much as the world title, but, I'm just searching for those highs wherever they are.
Listen, I know that you get a lot of fulfilment from speaking to the next generation, the younger people at schools and colleges and various things like that. The conversations you must have with them now must be crazy, because anybody that's ever spent any time with any school kids and what have you that do have those restraints on their own beliefs and dreams and what have you, they'll always come up with a reason as to why something can't happen. Now, speaking to you, you go, well, yeah, I've conquered sport. Yeah, I've done music. Yeah, I've done writing as well. Now I'm doing movies. Those conversations must be incredibly fulfilling for you.
No, 100%. And it's the same thing that I say to all of them. It's like the limitations are the ones that you put on yourself. Of course, you have to be realistic in what your goals and dreams are and what you really want in life. But ultimately, as that, age-old saying goes, if you believe you can or you can't, you're probably right. So I just tell everyone to just believe that you can do it and just go for it. If you want to open up a health clinic, go and open up a health clinic. If you want to open up a McDonald's, give it a go. If you want anything you want to do in this life, you should just push yourself and work hard at it.
Well, what's the just for those listening tonight who maybe don't know you as well as we do, what was the turning point for you in this? Was it the realisation that of the journey you've come on? What was there a moment? Because this has happened in the last... I mean, it may have been happening in you all the time and now you're just open about it, but was there a moment where you kind of thought, do you know what? Something has really grown in me. It's like you've fallen into a vat full of wisdom,
Well, to be honest, obviously, maybe it was there, whatever, I'm not sure. But I think, you know what? Something definitely changed at the European title fight win. I don't know what it was, but I remember going to a change room and feeling different within myself. After I won that fight, because I'd known the stuff that I'd, gotten over going into that fight afterwards, I was just like, you know what, like, you can do it. Like, I was, you know what I mean? Especially
against Steve Nagabu that night, you mean?
Yeah.
At the O2 Arena.
That's the one, yeah. So I knew it was a big occasion, a hard opponent, undefeated, strong guy, whatever. And, overcoming that, I was just like, you know what, like, I'm actually good at this sport and I'm good at stuff in life, so just, you know what, just do it.
I like it.
Well, September 25th, it's Dillian Prazovic that stands in front of you on the Anthony Joshua Alexander Usyk undercard there. It's your mandatory challenger. First defence here, Lawrence. Is there a mentality shift now that the hunter has become the hunted?
Yeah, 100%. It's a very, very different feeling. And it's actually hard to kind of... I think you put it the best way, probably. The hunter becomes the hunted. It's like, now I have the prize, I'm not hunting for someone else's thing. And I've definitely been the type of person who, throughout my career, I'm always hunting that next thing. The unification is what I'm hunting for now, the world title, the European, the British, whatever it is. So now I've had to take a moment and understand that I'm going to be hunted in this fight. I have to, assert my dominance. But the way I've kind of gotten around that is saying, you know what, this is my final eliminator for the unification fights. You know what I mean? So I need to go out there, put on a good statement. Otherwise, there is no unifications. You know, and that's it really. And I just enjoy winning. So that's pretty much been my motivation this camp.
Have you, Lawrence? Have you had a look at this? Obviously, 3 other world champions: Maris Bradis, who we were quite aware of course, because of the World Boxing Super Series, the IBF champion Arsene Goulamirian, the WBA Super champion, and Ilunga Makabu, who we remember, of course, fought Tony Bellew in a great night at Everton at Goodison Park. WBC champion. Have you got a route into each one of these? Obviously, you're not looking beyond Presovic, but have you got a route into these with Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, so I think that I obviously would like the Bradis fight. You know, I feel like he's ranked number 1, and you know he's probably got the most notoriety, and also definitely the most extensive sort of, you know,
resume.
You know, it's hard to deny. So I would like to beat him while he's number 1, to just further, you know, show that I am what I believe I am. However, obviously, as we know in boxing now, and I'm only realising now, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of how much am I going to get paid? How much this? Okay, that. That kind of gets in the way. Which I wasn't really expecting from someone like Bradis, but it has already, you know, popped his head up. So depending on, you know, what Eddie and DAZN and that can do in terms of finances, hopefully we can entice him into a fight. And if not, there's probably an easier route with the one that boxed Belly. I don't want to get his name wrong.
Makabu,
yeah. I think that he's probably more up for it. You know, it'll be a big fight for both of us.
Yeah.
He's obviously been to England already, boxed Tony Bellew, you know. He's been undefeated since, and just gone from strength to strength. So I think that's another good fight as well.
I like the mentality that you got there, that you're seeing the fight at the Spurs Stadium as an eliminator for those fights. I think that's the right way of going about it. That is the gateway to the multiple belts that you obviously desire. What's the thoughts of actually going into a 60,000 seater
that's
stadium?
What I was going to ask. It must be so exciting.
Absolutely. From being behind closed doors to every man and his dog now coming out to watch you do the business.
Yeah, for me, like I usually just take stuff in my stride, to be honest, until the aftermath. But I've just said, you know, I'm just going to go out there, enjoy the ring walk, make sure that there's something I can watch back afterwards and laugh and post online. And then
is the tune selected? Have you got the tune selected? Come on, man, you're doing one of your own tunes.
His own music, of course he is.
Another one of my own songs.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like, I don't know. I'll probably come out with my own music, to be fair.
Yeah.
But then obviously go in there and just do what I'm meant to do, which is block punches, land punches, you know, slip, look a little bit classy, and hopefully get a big knockout.
I like it when you hit really hard and hold, if I'm honest.
That's the last stadium fight. One to the next one's now. But I'm just going to, I'm going to take no damage and give damage. And then afterwards, I'm going to walk around the stadium and get harassed by supporters. I'm looking
love that.
Brilliant.
Love that attitude. Listen, Lawrence, just before we let you go, obviously we've had the Olympics this year. I know it was delayed a year and what have you. You were a former Olympian. We had some fantastic successes in there. Talk to me about your thoughts from the things that you saw from the guys and girls over in Tokyo.
No, it was epic. It was epic. I was so proud of them. A little bit jealous as well, but at the same time, moreover proud, you know, just seeing them go out there and achieve, you know, so well, just the whole team, you know, buzzing. I remember what it was like in Rio, and to see some of my Rio Olympians go on and win, you know,
Galal particularly, second games,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
even Fraser's journey's been immense, hasn't it?
No, all amazing, because ultimately, you know, sometimes I look at the success that I have had since the Olympics and think, oh, you know what, like, I'm obviously happy I made the right choice personally. However, those guys going on and getting medals, they've made the right choice in their own lives. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing would be worse than, you know, waiting and then it not working out. But I think every Olympian that did the 2016, I believe, has gone on and got a medal this time if they stayed. So anyway, long story short, man, I was really happy, really proud of them. and now I'm excited to see them all turn over on a wave. And like I said, obviously I'm going to be their biggest supporters as well.
So there you have it. He's out on September the 25th at Spurs Stadium. He is on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. And myself and Gareth got stuck into that fight on Saturday. In 2 weeks from today, my friend, we have the unified heavyweight champion of the world putting it all on the line against the former undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world and double Olympic gold medalist in Alexander Usyk. It's happening at Spurs Stadium in front of 60,000 people. It's a sensational night of fights. Now, I just want to have the conversation, mainly for those fans that genuinely believe that this is a knockover for Anthony Joshua. What are you talking about, man? I've been on record when this fight was made, and I will keep this same energy, even if AJ knocks Usyk out in the first round. And that's that could happen. It's heavyweight boxing. I will keep the same energy that this is Anthony Joshua's toughest test in the professional game. People will come at me and say, what about Klitschko? What about this? What about that? This is how highly I rank Usyk and where he is currently at. Okay, we've not seen it at heavyweight. This guy is elite, and he will pose some serious questions for Anthony Joshua on September the 25th. Joshua will have to be at his very, very, very best to beat him and retain his unified crown.
I'm not going to disagree with you, Adam, but I don't think it's the hardest fight that Anthony Joshua's had in his career. I still think it's Klitschko, mainly because of his experience. Even though it was a faded Klitschko, had already been beaten by Tyson Fury. But there are things about Alexander Usyk that I will not deny that you're talking about. Olympic champion, brilliant amateur, hundreds of bouts under his belt, used to dealing with very big men, a.k.a. Joe Joyce, and beating them. Not intimidated at all. Undisputed cruiserweight champion, the weight division below heavyweight. Undefeated as a professional fighter. Full of confidence. Believes in himself utterly. He's got some proper hood in him as well. Ukrainian hood. I remember saying to him once, what was it like where you grew up? And he said, gangs, crime. I missed out on an opportunity this week to go and see him over there as well, which I'm sad about because I wasn't around to go because I was in Tokyo. But he's a special guy, and I think he's got that natural screw loose that we've got to know about him that makes him very dangerous as well. Like he's a Bond baddie. Yeah, exactly. He's a Bond baddie. I think he's a Bond goodie, really. If he's a baddie, he's acting bad. But he's certainly got incredible toughness in him. But athletically, I won't disagree with you that he's a smaller man than Joshua, and athletically, he could be the most troublesome boxer that Anthony Joshua ever faces, and he's a southpaw as well.
Here's one for you.
That makes a big difference.
I think you've actually said this on this show. The longer this fight goes, does it favour Alexander Usyk?
Absolutely, it does. I cannot see if Anthony Joshua has done his job properly. He's not gonna. He will use his jab. He will be aggressive. He will work on certain things. He will put pressure on Alexander Usyk. He won't want Usyk to have it at his pace, at his tempo. But if Usyk's there at the end and they're still trading in rounds 11 and 12, I can't see why Anthony Joshua won't have made him go into exchanges at that point, tired him out by holding him and leaning on him and make him show that he is so much the bigger man. Maybe not that much heavier, maybe not much more than a stone, maybe 18 pounds heavier. But this is a fight in which Anthony Joshua needs to find the target and dedetonate.
I agree.
And that's what he needs to do with this guy. Do not let him have a rhythm. Do not let him feel comfortable. Do not let him move around. Those first 4-5 rounds against Derek Chisora that Usyk had, he made him uncomfortable. You could see Usyk was uncomfortable with the size of the man, with the aggression.
Yes.
I know Joshua's a different type of fighter to Derek Chisora, who comes in, he bobs and he weaves, and he's there in your face all the time, and he's coming forward. He's got an incredible chin, a very strong physique, a very strong engine, and Joshua fights in a different way. But I see he's got to put it on Usyk. And I don't mean go out there and just let his hands go, but just keep him under pressure, keep walking him down.
I agree. What we've seen anyway from Usyk is that he's a master of distance, and he makes you feel that you have to do something all the time. He's making you work when you don't necessarily want to work. Just a couple of stats on Anthony Joshua for people that are listening to this. In the 18 fights pre-Klitschko, all right, he knocks everybody out. All of them are knockout victories. And I think the furthest that he goes in those fights is to the 7th round. That's with Dillian Whyte and I think Dominic Breazeale. But he gets the job done. That's the furthest he's gone. Since the Klitschko fight, and everybody looks at the Ruiz fight as the thing that has changed his mentality. I look to the Klitschko fight as the fight that has changed Anthony Joshua's mentality, where he's gone more jab heavy. And if you look from since Klitschko, the earliest he's got somebody out of there is the 7th round. He's never done it. He hasn't got anybody out since Klitschko in the first half of a fight. He feels his way into a fight and then starts to take over in the second half of a fight. And I think it was Povetkin he got out there in the 7th round.
Should have got him out in the 4th.
He should have, but he ended up waiting and he ended up getting it out in the 7th round. We've had decisions. We've obviously had a defeat with Ruiz and we've had later stoppages as well. I just think that we need to see the original Anthony Joshua in this particular fight. I think we need to be aggressive from the start, because I think if you allow Usyk to get a rhythm in the fight, that's when the problems will come.
Completely agree. I mean, and look, I think my view is slightly different to yours in that he went into the fight with, the Alexander Povetkin fight was the 7th round as well, TKO. Parker he went 12 rounds with, if you remember.
Yeah.
In a fight that the referee didn't allow to develop.
Yeah,
it was a very, very odd night. Very, very odd night. Takam was 10 rounds.
Yeah. And that was contentious with the cuts, man. I mean, that could have gone the full distance.
Exactly. So I think he's still... that he will always be aware of what happened in the first Ruiz fight in America, where someone exchanged with him and he got caught, and he's going to be wary of that in the future. He was not gun shy against Andy Ruiz, but he did a good number on Ruiz in the second fight.
Oh, he was top class.
Yeah, exactly, and he dominated that fight. Pulev, I thought he dominated that fight.
Yeah,
he barely caught. And I think you look at him. He's one of the wealthiest athletes in the world. He's one of the most marketable men in the world. He's 24-1 in his career, one blemish against Andy Ruiz. He doesn't do anything wrong. Less is more with everything. I know I've said some of these things before, and yet we look to not pick holes in him, but see where there are holes. And for me, he's a natural destroyer. That's what he is. He's an enforcer as a fighter, and he's going to go in there and he's going to get hit. I think he has similar vulnerabilities in the way that Amir Khan had vulnerabilities. You worried about him going in against elite opponents because you worried what strategy he would have, whether he would implement the game plan, whether the game plan would go out of the window. And I feel with Anthony Joshua, he's so reliant on Rob McCracken, his coach. He's so reliant on the rituals he's gone through, on the strategies that he's gone through, on the game plan. He's very much a game plan guy. He's very much a plotter and a planner. He's not a spontaneous person, Anthony Joshua, but deep in him, there's a spontaneous fighter.
Oh, mate.
There's a guy that wants to fight.
Yeah, and that's what makes it exciting.
In a way, I'd like to see that every time, but it means he's going to lose 2 out of 6 in the next 12 fights. He's a guy that will probably fight for 3 or 4 more years. I can't see him going beyond that. And the fights out there are all going to be difficult. There's going to be no gimmies for him. There've been no gimmies. No. In my view, since
Klitschko.
Well,
you beat Klitschko,
since Gary Cornish.
Do you think
Dillian Whyte wasn't a gimme? I don't think.
At that stage, though, Dillian was very, very raw, and that's a British title fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think when you step up and you take on Klitschko, you're aware then.
That was only, it was. I mean, that was a big, big night. It's a night that the nation remembers as well.
Yeah.
It was I know George Groves and Carl Froch fought at Wembley Stadium, and it was 80,000, wasn't it? As Carl would probably be texting us to remind us right now. But that was our big night. He carried that event, and he knew afterwards he could carry, and it was like, then it was the Principality Stadium in Cardiff twice, then Wembley again. So this is interesting as well, on the 25th of September, Adam, that it's September 2018, the last time he was in a big stadium fight. So it's 3 years, and prior to that, what he'd done, 350,000 people in 4 events. So he's got to step up again. I think he's grown. I mean, speaking to him this week, we were on Zoom, a group of us. I did find him very mature, and he's saying all the right things and projecting all the right things.
He's consistent.
He is, but there is that odd moment with Anthony. Watch so much boxing over the years where you see him having to think. And it's where his natural propensity to fight and where he's being taught to think meet is fascinating with Joshua, because then you get the product. Because he's one of the greatest finishers I've ever seen. When someone's hurt, you don't want to be hit by a 5-punch combination from Anthony Joshua, because you're not getting up. And I see that end for Usyk. Unless Joshua gets caught.
Listen, it's a fascinating fight. It's fascinating. For anybody that think that Usyk doesn't do it at heavyweight, trust me, this is a proper fight, a real fight. And okay, we wanted the big one. We wanted Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. This is a wonderful fallout to that, and fingers crossed it will lead to that fight that we all want to see in the heavyweight division. There you go. Make sure you come back and join us on Saturday night live on TalkSport. But if you can't, you can always get the best bits and the guests that we have on the show here on the podcast. So subscribe via iTunes and do it via the TalkSport website. We'll catch you next time. The Fight Night podcast is proud to be in partnership with DAZN, the game-changing sports streaming platform. Visit DAZN.com to subscribe, or for more information, DAZN. Your boxing, your way.